everyone, it is an absolutely gorgeous day in Taipei today. It's like 30 degrees, the sun is shining, and I'm really excited to go for a day trip. So we're going to go and check out Beitou today, which is a small town just to the north of the Taipei main city, but technically still in like the city limits. And there's a hot spring there, some old buildings, looks like lots to see and lots to do. One of my favorite parts of it is actually on the MRT line, which I love. So we're just going to get the train from near where I live up to there. So I'll show you how to get there, how it all works, and then we'll have a look around when we are there. So let's go. I'm just waiting for the train. I still think it's crazy that they have countdowns with times to the second. The efficiency of the trains here always blow my mind. So anyway, I'm on the red line, which is super convenient because I need to go to Beitou station, which is also on the red line, and then you change there onto the pink line. So it's so easy to do, particularly from where I'm living. But even if you've got to change at like Taipei main station or any of those, so simple. So I'm just going to get the train up there and then we'll connect to the pink line. The train, it's a Tuesday, so it's great. It's not too busy. I've got like 30 minutes, so let's switch time. I'm at Beitou station now, and it looks like on the maps you probably could walk to the hot springs from here. It's like 15-20 minutes, but because it's a train there, I may as well. It's all really well signed as well to the pink line, so just going to wander over there and then we'll get the little train. The station is so beautiful. I love that everywhere you go out of Taipei, when you get to like the outskirts, you're just surrounded by green and mountains and stuff. It's so beautiful. This train's really cute. It's like 3 carriages and each of them are themed differently. Like there's a bear in the first one. The middle carriage has all these like touch screens with interactive games on them. I can't understand a word of what they are, but they look really cute. And then the last one's like jungle themed and all like grass and green. It's very cool, it's really cute and quirky, so I'm actually glad that I got the train up rather than walking, because I feel like this is an experience in itself. So well signed, and there's like the maps all over the station with the main tourist hotspots. It looks like a lot of it is in one region and like in a straight line, which is pretty cool. So I'm going to head over there, and it looks like we're going to walk through the park on the way up to like the hot springs and the buildings and stuff. So I'm really excited. It looks beautiful so far already. It's so green up here. The lilies in that pond are just perfect, like picturesque. And the little river running through, you can tell it's like that sort of cloudy blue color, like that volcanic kind of color. So I'm keen to walk upstream and see where it's coming from, like the water source. I assume the hot springs up there too, by looking at the map. That building behind me is amazing. I'm gonna go check that out too. I'm not quite sure what it is. The water is so blue, like this turquoise blue color, and the further I'm walking upstream, the kind of darker it's getting, which is really beautiful. And the little waterfalls and stuff. This walk is incredible, and it's so nice in the shade and the green and everything. This is really, really cool. Before I'm even at the hot springs, I'm so glad I've come. The kinds of buildings here really look like they've got quite a Japanese influence as well. Like the hills and the little paths and streets and the buildings, like the way they look. This is amazing. You really feel like you're sort of transported to a whole other place, and we're like 30 minutes out of time. So I just saw a sign that this actually was built in the 50s by Japanese people, like I guess during the Japanese colonial period. So it makes sense. There's a real Japanese influence here, which is very cool. And I think just the whole hot spring vibe reminds me of a lot of the hot spring places I've been to in Japan as well. It's very cool. As you're getting closer to kind of the main source of the volcanic water, you can really smell the sulfur smell. It reminds me of parts of like New Zealand or Iceland that I've been to, that sulfuric kind of volcanic smell, which you get used to. And it's absolutely worth it for how beautiful the place is, but can be a little bit, I guess, off-putting at first. But So the public hot spring area is just there. It's also pretty warm today, so I'm going to give that one a miss. But it is nice to know that there is a hot spring that's pretty accessible from the city, particularly in winter. I imagine it'd be very nice to come. The parts of this that are like in shade are also incredible. You can see the moss on the rocks and some of the color of like the white and yellow sediment forming around the rocks, because I imagine there's quite a lot of particles in the water that are sort of forming. And apparently it's the kind of crystal they find here that they don't find in other places, which is very cool. But yeah, so picturesque. There's a few little food vendors and restaurants and cafes up this street towards Thermal Valley. I just think this is the cutest aesthetic, like a quaint little town sort of feel. They also call this place the Jade Sulphur Springs. So there's some water there straight out of the springs to cleanse your hands with. And it was really warm, like spa bath, hot, warm. But yeah, apparently it's like a purifying, cleansing thing. So yeah, now I'm just walking up the little path towards like the main springs. So where like the water source is from. So apparently it's got lots of steam and stuff from it. This is remarkable to see such a massive body of thermal water and like the steam smoke emerging off the top of it. I imagine it's very hot. The colors are beautiful, like they're like kind of deep aqua blue and grays and like the white sediment around the outside. This is awesome, and there's a little walking path around the outside as well, so you can kind of have a wander around, take it all in, and it's super green and lush as well, and heaps of vantage points of the lake. The water is so amazingly clear that you can see where the floor of it, like you can tell that it's not super deep, and you can see the little points where there's ripples where I assume the water's emerging from like below the surface. This is really, really cool. There's all of that steam coming off, and when the wind changes and it comes towards you, the sulfur smell is strong. But also you can feel the warmth. Like I know it's a hot day today, but the mist that hits you, like it is hot. You can tell that water is pure. There's a beautiful waterfall here as well that's feeding into the springs, which is really cool. And apparently the ancient story goes that if you look into the waterfall, you can see the silhouette of a witch, which is very cool. There's also so many butterflies and little birds and stuff around here. I'm always taken aback by the amount of butterflies in Taiwan. It's really cool. Apparently it is like 90 degrees Celsius, which is crazy. And I just read that they used to let tourists boil eggs in there up until like the early 90s. Obviously there was a lot of injuries and things, and it was handed over to the Taiwan Water Department that like maintain it and make sure that the quality is still good, which makes sense. That's crazy cool. And apparently there's very trace elements of radium in there, which is radioactive. And it's known as like the Jade Pond because of the color, which I love. Pop into the Hot Spring Museum. I'm walking past it and it's free to enter, so I want to go check it out and learn a little bit more about the area. The staff at the front was so lovely. I had to change from my thongs into like slippers, and they give you a little locker, which is super easy. It's very cool. This is all free. In here and like walk around the rooms, what used to be an old bathhouse. A lot of the history is in Taiwanese. There's little bits in English, so there's bits and pieces that I can read, but the architecture is just incredible, like the way that they've restored everything and the art on the walls and everything like that. Interesting. This is actually the room that the women and kids used to bathe in, because the guys had all of out here, which is so fascinating. It's cool that they've got like the sort of old seats and wash areas and stuff people would use before going into the baths, and the old baths here too. This is really cool. Like, it's awesome that they preserved all of this. Reading some of these signs, and there's heaps here in English, which is cool, about how much this area's changed over time. And I didn't realize that it was actually quite a like red light district in the 50s. Like it was getting really popular in a lot of those kind of hotels. And then they outlawed prostitution here, and so it had a big sort of makeover. And then that it was a real like big area for Taiwanese movies for a period of time. So it was like Taiwanese Hollywood too. Yeah, really cool to learn. I would definitely recommend popping in here and having a read and having a look. There's little exhibits here talking about the kinds of games people would play here because it was a big recreational area, and the kinds of food as well. And because there was such a big population of Japanese people here, it was the first time a lot of people had been exposed to Japanese food, like onigiri and sushi and soba noodles and things. There's lots of like wax food there, which is cool. And lots of games they used to play. I don't exactly know what they are. I'm going to research it because I feel like there's lots of interesting like Taiwanese and Japanese board games and things I don't quite know. Wow, look at all these stained glass windows. It's so beautiful. And the public bath is still there too. That was really cool. It was good. Like it was free and it was really nice for like a 20-30 minute walk around to see the history, to see what an old public bathhouse used to look like. I'm really glad I went. I think that was definitely worth visiting. So recommendation from me. The architecture of the library is just beautiful. Like it's amazing from the outside. So I'm going to go in and check it out. The shape of the building and all the books and wooden shelving and low light and all the greenery through the windows is just so beautiful. This is an amazing building. It is full of people reading and working and doing library things, so I can't really chat in there, but it's really worth popping in. It's really cool. It's unlike anything I've seen, like in terms of buildings and architecture. It's so unique. And there's like this wraparound balcony that you can wander around, and it's got the most beautiful view of the park downstairs too. It's amazing. Just wandered back down through the park, and I wanted to stop at the historic railway museum. It's like an old train and things, and it's right next to the station. It's amazing. There's so many sights to see here and so many little attractions all within walking distance of the train. It's like perfectly built for like a day trip to walk around and see everything. Station there has been renovated into a museum, and there's lots of history there and old artifacts and things like that, which is really cool. It does seem like this was a really significant station that opened up and allowed a lot of tourists to come here and a lot of locals to enjoy the hot springs, especially during the Japanese occupation where this area was really exploding. And there's an old train line here. Like an old train carriage there that you can go in, and half of it's still like seating like a train carriage, and there's some information about foods were served on the train like over time. It's very cool. It's nice. The little different little places around here spotted around for you to learn different stuff about the Beitou area history. So I feel like I've learned a lot about here today. I really enjoyed it. I've had an awesome day exploring around Beitou. I 100% would recommend coming and checking out the area. It was so cool. Got to learn a lot, got to check out some beautiful scenery. I've had a really nice day, so I hope that you've enjoyed coming along with me and seeing a little bit more of Taiwan. If you've liked my video, if you could like it below, subscribing to my channel is amazing. It helps me so much, so I really appreciate that. And let me know where else should I check out, where are some other great day trips to take from Taipei. I always really appreciate your recommendations. Otherwise, I'll see you very soon on my next video.